Some children learn the sound of danger before they learn the shape of peace. Not danger as a loud crash, not danger as something obvious. A smaller kind. A pause behind a closed door. A cup placed down too hard. A voice becoming gentle in a way that somehow feels worse. By age 9, they are already standing in hallways, listening to the emotional weather of a room they have not entered yet. And years later, people call them intense, sensitive, suspicious, hard to read, or too aware. But there is a quieter name for what happened. In trauma psychology, this kind of sharpened awareness is often described as traumatic intelligence. It is not ordinary intelligence. It is not just being smart. It is the mind learning to survive by noticing what everyone else misses. The first sign is noticing the emotional shift before anyone says a word. A room changes by 1 degree, and something inside immediately turns toward it. Someone answers a little too flat. Someone smiles without warmth. Someone says they are fine, but their hands move differently. This can look like intuition from the outside, but the mechanism is usually older than intuition. The nervous system learned that moods were not background noise. They were weather reports. If the atmosphere changed, safety changed with it. So the brain became a scanner, not because it wanted drama, because at some point, missing the shift was more dangerous than overreading it. The gift is accuracy. The cost is never being off-duty. The second sign is replaying conversations long after they are over. A normal exchange ends for everyone else, but the mind keeps returning to one sentence. The pause after a joke. The way someone looked away. The exact moment their tone became smaller. This is often dismissed as overthinking, but in traumatic intelligence, it is closer to social threat analysis. The brain is trying to find the part where rejection began, so it can prevent the next one. Pattern recognition becomes emotional protection. The problem is that protection does not know when the conversation is already finished. So the body stays in the room long after the person is gone. Still searching, still correcting, still bracing. The third sign is reading rooms faster than people read words. Before a meeting starts, before a dinner settles, before anyone explains the tension, there is already a map forming. Who has power? Who feels ignored? Who is pretending? Who is about to explode quietly? This does not happen because the person is judgmental. It happens because childhood trained the mind to treat rooms like systems. Every face, chair, silence, and unfinished sentence became part of the signal. At age 9, the hallway was not just a hallway. It was a place where the body learned to ask, "Can I enter safely, or should I disappear?" Adult rooms still answer that question, even when nobody asked it out loud. The fourth sign is sensing rejection before it is spoken. A delayed reply can feel like a verdict. A shorter message can feel like a door closing. A friend becoming distant can activate a whole internal trial before the facts arrive. This is not weakness. It is predictive processing shaped by emotional inconsistency. When care once came and disappeared without warning, the brain learned to forecast loss early. Sometimes it is right. Sometimes it is only remembering. That is the cruel part. Traumatic intelligence can detect patterns, but it can also confuse old pain with present evidence. So the person becomes brilliant at anticipating distance, and exhausted by distances that may not even be there. The fifth sign is appearing calm when the inside is moving very fast. People may describe this person as composed, mature, private, or unreadable. They may not realize that calm was once a strategy A face that did not react could avoid questions. A body that stayed still could avoid becoming the target. A quiet voice could keep the room from turning sharper. This is where traumatic intelligence becomes invisible. The mind is processing tone, risk, memory, timing, and possible outcomes, while the face barely changes. Not because nothing is happening, because too much is happening to show safely. This is the middle truth most people miss. What looked like maturity may have been a child learning not to need anything, where needing something was unsafe. That is not damage in the simple way people use the word. It is architecture. A nervous system built around prediction, restraint, and emotional radar. But even beautiful architecture can become a locked house. The sixth sign is knowing what people need before they ask. Someone grows quiet, and a sentence is already forming to soften the room. Someone looks uncomfortable, and the body shifts to make space for them. Someone is disappointed, and the mind begins searching for a way to repair it. This can become hyperempathy. Not empathy as a soft personality trait. Empathy as surveillance. The person learned to track others so closely that their own needs became blurry. They can feel the emotional hunger in another person, but struggle to name their own. They become useful, calming, perceptive, easy to lean on. And somewhere underneath that usefulness is a lonely question. Would anyone notice if they stopped managing the room? The seventh sign is feeling safest alone, but not always peaceful alone. Solitude can feel like the only place where the radar finally lowers. No tones to decode, no faces to measure, no sudden shift to prepare for. But when the world becomes quiet, the old system may keep scanning anyway. The mind looks for danger in memory. The body waits for footsteps that are not coming. The silence becomes both relief and echo. This is the hidden cost of being too aware. Traumatic intelligence protects the person from being blindsided, but it can also make ordinary safety feel unfamiliar. The brain knows how to survive tension. It may not yet know how to receive ease. That does not mean the intelligence is fake. It means it was built in conditions where rest was never taught. There is a painful dignity in this kind of awareness. It notices what others deny. It catches the tiny fracture in a voice. It remembers patterns before they become obvious. It can protect, understand, translate, and anticipate. But it can also steal the simple life. The life where a message is just a message. A room is just a room. A quiet evening is not a test. This is why traumatic intelligence has to be named carefully. Not as a superpower, not as a disorder, as an adaptation with a cost. A form of brilliance that began as protection. A form of protection that can become a cage. And maybe the first release is not forcing the mind to stop noticing. Maybe it is letting the body learn that not every closed door has danger behind it. Not every pause is punishment. Not every silence is the beginning of abandonment. The child in the hallway did what they had to do. They listened. They learned. They became impossible to fool. But the adult holding that same invisible radar may deserve something the child never got. A room that does not need to be solved before they can breathe. This video is for reflection and education, not diagnosis or treatment. If these patterns feel heavy or familiar, support from a licensed mental health professional can help make sense of them safely. And still, without turning pain into a label, one quiet truth can remain. Some awareness was born from fear, but it does not have to spend the rest of its life serving fear.